So usually they say by the late summer, early fall, you can sever the tree. But I have always been just waiting until the next spring, and that's because I can put them in my garage and keep them from freezing. But I think if you were putting your trees outside for the winter, you would have to sever it because like if the roots exposed to the air are just going to freeze, right?
Would you add like extra burlap or something to protect the roots in the garage over the winter? Or
No,
they'd be fine.
I've never done any of that. I've had fantastic luck. Every single thing that I've ever tried to air layer worked. It's kind of lucky for me, I guess.
How many times a month do you water in the garage in the winter?
Once every month or so. Yeah. I have a lot of shohin trees now, and I find that they need to be watered a little bit more. But I also have some large trees that I haven't even watered yet. So, yeah, it really just kind of depends. If it was a tree that you haven't transplanted for 3 years, it may it may just completely dry out in no time. But if it's something you transplanted just in the springtime, it might have all kinds of soil and the roots haven't consumed it yet.
Some trees.
Japanese maples, there's a few reasons. One of them is it's a really fast propagation method, so they're able to produce tons and tons of these cultivars. Also, some of these cultivars don't grow well on their own roots. I had a Shishio improved, and I air layered it. It was doing just fine, and just died, and for no reason, right? And I'm thinking it might have just been, it just doesn't like growing on its own roots. I've also, I think it was Bill Valavena said this to me, that after about 25 years, the tree can actually fail on its own roots, these cultivars. Now some of the cultivars are no problem, like these Shishigarshiras on their own roots, no problem. The Shoyo, this Kotohimi, but some of these other varieties, not as stable. But it's worth trying. It's just, I think you just might be taking a chance, right?
Have you actually performed grafts and then different root stocks?
No, I haven't done any grafting. That's why I grew these ones, because I want to try it.
Because then that's like a basic variety of Japanese maple, that one, right?
Yeah.
The mountain maple.
Just the green
so
one.
they will be used as a base for the grafts, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to do a few.
Sometimes you see that where your Japanese maple starts sending shoots at the bottom of the graft, then you see the leaves a different color than what the top is.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I want to, it's kind of the next thing I want to try is to try to grow.
Actually graft.
Yeah, actually learn how to graft.
Grafting onto, a lot of the grafting in the root is done by the rootstock is more hardy than the tree.
Right.
And it's for hardiness that they graft.
Yeah, you want them to survive in your backyard, in your yard, right?
Yeah. There is one type of Japanese maple called Arakawa, and there's a few other of these kind of rough bark ones. Those ones, if you grow it on a graft, you're going to end up with nice smooth roots and a smooth lower part of the trunk, and then it's going to be this burly pine-like bark. So people typically try to air layer those ones. So that they end up with the corky bark all the way down to the roots.
Have you had any experience with sharp stinging?
Yes, I had one and I sold it. I don't know why I sold it, but I did. I think it's known as a really nice variety.
Just trying to figure out if it's good for climate or not.
Basically, you can grow any type of Japanese maple you please as long as you can winter it. As long as you can winter it properly.
By the way, when the flower and they're gonna seed, would you keep the seeds or you try to get rid of them?
I have some trees that produce seed, and typically one is that I really like. What's it called now? Sakayatsusha. Sakayatsusha. And it produces some really nice. It gets these red things, and then it gets these flowers, and then beautiful seeds. Last year I left the seeds on because I just wanted to see it, but I cut them all off at the end of the season. Typically, I think they say for seeds on any kind of tree, it can really have it can really sap the strength. So I think the recommendation would be to not keep the seeds. Or if you do, fertilize like crazy, kind of like what you would have to do for an apple tree or any kind of fruiting tree. So I'm just tying this tree into the pot. So those people who are not experienced bonsai people, the reason why we tie the tree in the pot, there's a few reasons for that. First reason is if it gets windy and the tree, you don't want the tree to go flying out of your pot. Number one. Number two, if the squirrels really start liking your tree, you don't want them digging your tree out of the pot. But the more horticultural reason for that is that if the tree isn't tied into the pot, it wiggles. And what happens when it wiggles is it's unable to kind of set its roots area. And so therefore it remains constantly weak. And you can also damage the roots. So in this case, what I'm doing is I'm actually kind of pulling the wire kind of away from the roots because I don't want these nice roots up at the top to be damaged. Sometimes when I'm first setting up a tree in a pot, I put some kind of fabric to protect the roots. It looks kind of ugly, but it's better than having the roots all damaged by the wire.
So you just want it snug enough so it's not wobbling or...
Yeah, so it's pretty good here, let's say. And the nice thing about Japanese maples is that they do send out a lot of roots. So by summer, they'll be completely solid in the pot. So all I'm doing, I'm just kind of combing out the roots over here so I can introduce the soil back in.
These maples that you brought tonight in full leaf at the end of the month? You think?
No,
No?
not if I have my way. I don't want any maples in full leaf until in April. The only one I'm worried about is this one here is Kashima, and it's known as one of those varieties that sends out its leaves early, and so I think we're going to have an issue. But you know, sometimes what happens is the leaves kind of come out and they're weak and so on. But then after about a week of sunshine, all of a sudden they green right up. So everyone knows the best bonsai tool in the world is chopsticks. So for those who are new, what I need to do here is kind of remove all of the air pockets and introduce soil in between between all of the various roots. And the way you do that is by sticking the chopstick in and using a circular motion to kind of draw the soil in amongst the roots. And usually you can kind of tell when you've got air pockets besides actually seeing them.
And that works very good when the soil components are quite dry.
Yeah, these, normally I use dry black earth, but it was a little too cold this morning to dry it out on the driveway.
You could have used air dry.
You got like a remedy for everything, so.
Oh, yes.
Microwave it.
It's great when these buds start showing.
Yeah, so when you don't see any movement in buds, you don't wanna touch them yet.
Yeah.
So typically around my area, I live north of here, it's somewhere in the second week of April. I mean, that depends on the year.
Same
but-
level as him.
Yeah, so you don't wanna touch anything that is still like in tight bud. But if the leaf is already sort of becoming like extended, and you can actually start noticing the little leaf, it might be a little bit too late. Am I right, Mike?
If the leaves have started to come out, you might be better off to wait until next year, so.
Yeah, so it's like, how many days are we talking like? Sometimes it could be within a few days.
It
Like-
can be,
Yeah,
It
from
can be.
that bud to like extension, 3-4 days sometimes. So, first thing, is it evergreens the first to repot?
No,
No?
always these deciduous trees, yeah. And then, larches,
Yeah.
I don't normally get to my pines until sometime in May,
Wow.
typically. But I have so many trees, it's kind of ridiculous.
How many trees you got, Mike?
Couple of hundred.
Probably not
Yeah.
enough. Add some more.
I did an inventory a few years ago and I have about 300 trees in my backyard.
There you go.
That's why every 10 years you take an inventory.
No, she knows, but my wife is a librarian and she has about 3,000 books in the basement, so whenever there's something about, you got a lot of bonsai, I'm like, whoa, do you really need another book?
Do you have any bonsai in the basement?
I have some grow lights, so I have
Oh,
a few. I have a greenhouse window in my kitchen, and that's where I have my tropical bonsai. I don't have a lot of tropical bonsai, just a few to keep me from losing my mind in the winter.
That's right.
So there you go. This tree actually needs to be styled and trimmed and have it really nice. You want it to get a really nice smooth transition. And so you can go and buy yourself one of these knob cutters, right? And so you go and you can kind of get in there and you create a bit of an indentation. No, I actually don't want to dig too deep here because I'm kind of hoping this will. I broke this branch off. Kind of hoping it'll send out some new ones. So I'm gonna actually leave the collar there because I want it to come back. But what I recommend is getting a chisel set. This is a nice set you can get from Roussel Valley. And then what you want to do is you want to go in there and just kind of make sure that the cut is extremely clean all the way around the edge, and that you have that kind of indentation in the center. And what it's going to do is it's going to allow your tree to heal over in the most efficient, quick, and aesthetic possible way. And sometimes you got big blisters, which I do.
Where did you get the cloth?
Butcher shop.
Lee Valley. I buy everything at Lee Valley. Crazy, they have everything I need. Okay, so then when you're done with that, you go and get your putty.